get underway. So here we go. So Harry is on screen. That's good news. Harry, if you don't know Harry, Harry's been deep in the TEFL world for over 14 years now. Yes, once you get in, it's hard to escape. He is a teacher trainer, and content creator with a passion for teaching and an obsession with the planet. This led him to create Renewable English, an online English course providing free classes and materials aimed at raising climate change awareness across the globe. He describes himself as an imperfect environmentalist with a love of flags and funky second-hand shirts. So, ELTOC, let's get going. Over to you, Harry. Good luck. Enjoy your session. I'm here if you need me.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. I hope you can hear me. We did do sound checks and the like beforehand. We had some super fun technical issues to iron out, which led me to move from one room to another to get plugged in. So I do hope you can all see and hear me. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat, but I'll mostly be focusing on delivering. I want to say hello to Christina, who I saw talking in the chat beforehand, who is in Seville, which is where I'm based as well, in the south of Spain. So today we are going to be talking about making climate action a topic for your lessons. And we'll talk today through some of the objections that we have, but also some great solutions. But before we do that, I'll introduce myself. I'm Harry. I'm from a place called Northampton in England. If anybody's ever been to England, you may have been to Northampton. If you have, I'm very sorry. If you've never been to England, don't worry. If you don't go to Northampton, you're not missing anything. There are plenty of much more interesting places to visit. But now I live in a place called Valenciana de la Concepción in the south of Spain, quite close to Sevilla. You may have heard of Seville. The football team are quite famous, and we've got loads of oranges. As we mentioned before, I am a big fan of funky second-hand shirts. We do have a lovely cathedral here. You are correct. We do have. I love second-hand shirts. As you can see, a small selection there, which are hanging in the room I was supposed to be in, but obviously there were internet issues up there, so I've come downstairs to the spare bedroom. And also, as Sean mentioned, I created Renewable English, which is a climate change awareness program. You can find us on all of the social medias. There will be an option with a QR code coming up soon. I will put the Instagram link into the chat now if you want to go over there. And we deliver free climate change awareness classes. We also give courses to teachers to help them raise climate change awareness in their students. And yeah, we're always here. We're available to basically help make climate action a part of our lessons. So what are we going to talk about today? First up, we're going to talk about motivation, because our focus really is on teens and adults today. Now, I know often there's a really weird distinction between teens and adults. People often think, well, a teen is, let's say, 12 to 18, but then they often think of adults as being much older, and they think of, I don't know, people who are established in a job, when I think the distinction is much less clear now. I think teenagers and adolescents last a bit longer, but adulthood can also start a bit sooner. So we're looking at how we're going to motivate our students. We're going to look at how to find and use green materials, creating green routines, and helping our students flourish. Now, all of this is because as teachers, we don't have time to... Oh, the video's come on for some reason. I'm not sure why. There we go. We're back. As teachers, we don't have time to focus all of our attention on creating new materials. And we don't have time to dedicate everything to climate change in our classes. So what we hope to achieve today is a way of you sliding it into classes without any issue. I feel like I can hear somebody's mic open somewhere. I'm not sure what's going on there. So I'll just speak louder, just in case. Hello, Democratic Republic of Congo. So, Sean, here's the big moment. Release the poll. Here we go. So
It is
how
released.
often do you teach climate change in your classes? There should be a poll jumping up on your screen about now. There we go. So, do you teach it when it comes up in the book, when it's in the news, or every day my students call me Captain Planet? Oh, I do love watching this go up. It feels like a bit of a horse race. You know, well, when it comes up in the book, it's clearly in the lead. You know, when it's on the news, it's out there. But there are a few people in just behind saying that they are Captain Planet in their classroom. Quite a few people there saying when it's in the news, when it comes up in the book, often the issue here. I mean, we're hovering around 30-something% for when it's in the news. And then not many people do it on a regular basis. But the majority of us, when it comes up in the book. Now, one of the big issues for me when it comes up in the book is that until very recently, there have been some wonderful changes in our textbooks. But until very recently, that moment when it came up in the textbook, there would be that instant groan for everybody in the classroom. Oh, climate change. Oh, the environment. Because all the books were so negative. They were all focused in a really not a great way to motivate our students. And it was all, you know, the polar bears are dying, the ice caps are melting. And it didn't create that. It didn't inspire our students to care about the planet. Now, what we're going to look at very soon is how we can do that. We're going to look at our different motivations, and then we're going to look at other areas. Now, it is looking good here that when it's in the news. Now, it is very important to use the news in your classes, to use things that are topical, things that are happening. I know when Greta gets out there, there's always a spike in people turning up to renewable English. So, and when the IPCC report comes out, there is a big spike, and there is an increased interest in this, which is why we've created today. So, I'm going to let the poll stop there. I think we have a fairly conclusive result. I'm not sure how many people have voted. I'm not even exactly sure how many people are here anymore. I know it was at 2,600 at one point. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for the poll. If we can move on from there, it would be great if we can stop sharing the poll. And then we can move on to the next page of the slide. So Sean, if you can stop the poll, that would be wonderful. Or do I stop the poll?
There are too many people voting at the moment, and it was making and it wouldn't come off. It wouldn't come off the screen. That was the problem. Now it's
very good. Well, that's good. Everybody's voting. That's what I like to hear.
There you go. You should be back to normal now.
Okay. Let's go to the slides. I still have the poll on the screen, but it's okay. There we go. I'm back. Oh, it's gone. And it's back again. Magic.
I know. Weird, huh?
There you go. That was wonderful. So motivation. We're going to look first at our teen students' motivation, and then we're going to look at adult students as well. Motivation is a real key. I know whenever I speak to teachers, the big three issues are time, expertise, and interest. So we need to know how we're going to motivate our students. And the poll has just popped back up there for a final result. There you can see that we've got 41% saying when it's in the news, 10% there, and yeah, fantastic. Back to motivation. So teens, the first thing for teens, what's in it for me? We need to make it relevant to our teens. We need to make everything relevant to our teens and what they're getting from this. We can't expect everybody to be altruistic and everybody to want to help the planet, because they need to have the planet in the future. I know when I was a teen, I didn't look past really the weekend. So saying, well, in 10 years, there's going to be these issues. So what's in it for me? It's a sad fact of life that, not everybody is inspired to help the planet for the planet's sake. So we need to show our students what is in it for them. And one big thing that we're going to talk about very soon, again, very sad, but followers. What's in it for you? You can get a lot of followers on the internet. If you are an activist, and have a look at other activists, and we'll look more at that later. But what else is in it for these teenagers? Think about the other ways students can be motivated. What else is good for students? You can improve your health while you're improving the planet, which is always a good thing. You can get healthier. It is also true for adults as well. You're absolutely right there. So you can improve your health. You can improve the health of the planet. You can improve awareness of people around you. You can learn how to influence others. There's so much in it for a teen. You can also get new followers. So here we go. There is a QR code on the screen for you there. And as I mentioned, social media. There's a picture of me and my dog. She's not in here at the moment. She would have been if we were upstairs. Feel free to jump onto Insta now. I'll have a look at your answer to the poll at the end of the session. There is the QR code there, and I will put the link there in the chat box. So what's in it for them? Which do they use? Do they use... don't worry about this poll, Sean. It's all good. It's all over there on Insta. It's also been released on Twitter as well. So feel free to get on there. Minecraft education is very good. It's very popular. So find out which of the social medias your students use, because that is going to help you motivate them to show them other eco-activists that are out there. And we'll talk more about this very shortly. Listen to what I have to say. A big issue that the teachers have, particularly with teens, is listening to their teens. Give your students that platform. Give them that time to be out there and speak about their passions. So many young people today are motivated by the planet, by climate change, but you need to listen to them. Often we have the approach of, I'm not an expert, so I don't want to teach about it. This is a great opportunity for your students to come out there and have their 15 minutes of fame. They can come to the class and they can educate you. They can help you with certain areas, because you can't know everything about climate change. I am a climate crisis freak. I'm an environmental loon. I'm mad about it. I absolutely love it. I don't know everything about it. I learn so much from people around me, and especially from young people who are out there making a difference. So listen to what your students have to say. Listen to what they want to learn about. Let them be the guide for a while. And with teenagers, it will make a huge difference. And of course, make it fun and relevant. You can't make all climate action fun, but make it relevant. Make it about your students. Make it about where you're from. It's not relevant if they just open their book and they get to okay, we're at the environment unit in the book. Okay, here we go. Look at this. It's the plastic in the ocean. That's not going to be relevant to people who live in a landlocked country. Make it relevant. Make it about where they're from. For example, here in Seville, there's a big campaign at the moment to stop deforestation, because they're going to extend the tram line and they're going to cut down about 200 trees. You can get your students involved in that. It's relevant. You can get them talking about the things that are around them. Personalize things. Make it about them. Make it relevant. Bring it closer to home. We can share our ideas with the students, absolutely. And make it fun, but make it interesting. Now, I couldn't put it better than the way Clover Hogan puts it. There is a lot of eco-anxiety, but we need to turn that anxiety into agency. We need to give our students the power to make a difference. And we'll talk more about this very shortly. So, what about adults? First and foremost, financial benefit. How are our adults going to make money from this? One thing I always hear from adults is, yeah, but to go green is so expensive. To go green, it costs so much money. You know, if I want to buy clothes, you know, to buy from green, sustainable clothes, they're really expensive. Buy secondhand. That way, they're not really expensive. You know, there's an option there, and that way you're saving money and you're saving the planet. Saving electricity, you'll save money with that. Turning off lights, saving water. These are all ways of saving money. If you don't waste your food, you're saving money. There's so many financial benefits to this. A really, really big one that I always share with a lot of my older adult students, especially, is about the children's future. I know that the biggest influence on me personally is when my daughter comes home from school and talks about what she's learned. You know, when kids come home and they tell their parents they care about the planet, they care about what's happening, they care about what's changing, it makes a difference. You know, you look at your daughter, you look at your son, you look at your child, and you think, I need to make a difference for them in the future. As Ernesto says, go green is cheaper than fossil fuel. It really is. You know, if you walk to school, then you're saving money, and you're also exercising, and you're in better shape, and your kids are also in better shape as well. And the way you're working these things, it will improve your kids' future, but it also, by making your kids aware of these green issues now, they're developing valuable green skills that are going to be absolutely vital in 10 or 15 years. Every job interview in 10 or 15 years is going to involve green skills. A really big one for adult learners. Am I still learning English? You can't just go in there, get on your soapbox and start talking all about the environment. You need to still relate it to the English classes. Students still need to be learning English. It can easily be connected to lessons and to what you're doing. And as I say, we'll talk about that very soon. And the last one, particularly for me, I found this one super important in younger adults. So I'm talking towards the end of university and new graduates, but also later teens as well. But the relevance to career and life goals, the fact that green skills are so important and are becoming more and more important, is something that's absolutely key to our students. And making it relevant to them and their future is going to make them more interested and make them want to go out and make a difference, and not simply turn off a light. Because yes, these individual actions are super important. You know, we do need to turn off lights. We do need to save water at home, turn the tap off while we're brushing our teeth. But we also need to go out into the community and try and make a difference. And there we go. Another look at the poll. Wonderful. So, finding and using materials. Where can we find materials? What materials can we use? Just to let you know, there are materials everywhere. Now, here's a look at something that is changing, that I am so happy about. When I was asked to do this talk, and looking into the various OUP publications, looking at insight is fantastic. The focus has changed, and it is changing nowadays in textbooks. And it isn't looking so much at the doom and gloom. It's looking more at the positive aspects, the things that we can do to make a difference, the things we can do to make a change. Look there, climate change superstar. The focus there is on Greta. And it's about becoming a superstar and making a difference rather than the bad things that are happening. It's more about agency. It's more about what we can do to mitigate the climate crisis. Of course, we need to learn how to adapt to climate change, because we are going through climate change and ending it is impossible. We can fight it, we can combat it, we can slow it down, but we can't end it completely. So there are things available in our textbooks now. There weren't for many, many years. There was that one unit usually. Something I also love to do is try and connect every unit to climate change. But again, we'll look at that very shortly. Here are 3 places you can go to find materials as well. So ELT Footprint is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place to go on Facebook. It's an incredible community where people within the green ELT movement go there, that we gather materials, we share ideas, and it's a great place. It's a great sounding board. To be honest, it's where I got the name for Renewable English. And in there, I learned all about, so many different things and so many ways to share our ideas. ELT Sustainable from Owen Wilson. Owen Llewellyn. My apologies. I just automatically said Owen Wilson there. Owen Llewellyn created ELT Sustainable in 2012. And it has so many materials available there on his website. Also, of course, Renewable English. There are live lessons every other Thursday. At the moment, we're talking about the SDGs, but there are also backed up about 30 lessons, all recorded there, all with materials. And there is, of course, a corner as well for students' materials. So if your students have done anything and they want to place on Renewable English, please do send it in to us, and we'd love to shout about it. Another one I'd like to talk about is called Subject to Climate. That's not necessarily only for ELT, it's for all different subjects. But if you go to Subject to Climate, there are free lesson plans available there that you can download and use wherever you like. So these are areas where your materials are created. People often say, I don't have time to make my own materials. You don't need to make your own materials. You can find materials absolutely anywhere. You can find real materials, you can find genuine materials, you can adapt materials yourself as well. These are 3 simple places, plus of course Subject to Climate, where you can also find it. I'm just putting it in the chat there. But there are so many different places you can get these materials, and you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours working on your own materials, because people have done it for you already. Now, I mentioned at the top that the problem is time. The main problem is time. People do worry about expertise, but the main issue is time. We don't have time because why? We've got exams. We've got grammar we need to do. We've got a textbook we need to get through that people have the textbook already and they've paid for it. So we need to use the textbook. So what I've got here are some very simple green routines. So we're going to look at some numbers. We're going to look at eco-influencers, planet news, climate 5-minute focus, and climate decorations and classroom decorations. Now, the first one is all about numbers. Now, I've been creating this talk for quite a long time. It's something I've been really excited about, as you can see, since at least the 5th of January. So what I often start my class with are numbers, because do you know what we don't do? We don't teach enough numbers, particularly to teens and adults. And big numbers, forget about big numbers. We usually get to about 100 and then stop. We're like, 101, you know all the numbers now. So what I love to do at the start of my class, I copy and paste a number, stick it up on the board, or I write down a number. Let's look here at the hectares of forest lost. So what we've got there, on the 5th of January at 12 p.m, there were 64,520 hectares of forest lost. Now, bear in mind, a football pitch is about 1.6 hectares. So yeah, by the end of the class, a further 2,253 had been lost. So, a few hours later, you can see the amount of land that has been lost. Now, it's very alarming. These aren't exactly happy numbers. It really does raise students' awareness for and about these issues. And you can focus this on almost anything. So let's say you're talking about food in your lessons. You can talk about forest loss, because a lot of forest loss is caused because we need to graze our animals. We need to feed our animals. The numbers are incredibly scary. Now, this was on the 5th of January. So this was only 5 days into the year. I'm just going to go to the next slide. When I revisited the site on February the 8th, so just over a month later, you can see the difference in what's happened. So you can then again relate this back to your previous class. This takes no time at all. This is maybe 2 minutes of your lessons, and it's a green focus on your lesson. And forest loss is something that it's difficult to make a difference with. It is difficult. But what we can do is we can focus on this within our area, within our local area, particularly here in Seville. We've got a campaign to save some trees in our local area. We can also be part of reforestation in our area. We can bury these, we can plant these trees. We can try and make a difference. We can try and fund these trees. If you want a more positive number, then you can go to Ecosia or Ecosia, the search engine, the one I always use, and it shows you how many trees they've planted every year. And again, it's a way of linking it back to previous classes. But you can see in a month there was about 500,000 hectares of land lost, which is about 700,000 football pitches of land lost. Now, I'm not going to share my screen with you, but I am going to put my phone up to the screen for you, just to show you that since then, the CO2 emissions has almost doubled, and the forest loss this year, if you can see there, is now up a further 330,000, and we're already up to there. So we can see this exactly. Forest fires are a big cause as well, of course. But like you said, this is something that doesn't take time from your class. And you're also working on numbers, and you're working on big numbers as well. You've got 229,392,000 and something tons of CO2 have been released into the atmosphere. Well, you can also do it with this with the CO2 parts per million in the atmosphere, and judge it year on year. For example, today the number are 417 parts per million, whereas last year was 415. So you can see the increase of CO2 emissions. And obviously we do focus a lot on reducing CO2. So showing CO2 and the amount it's increased, particularly over the last 10 or 15 years, it is very depressing. They can be dejected, but you can also show them how they can make a difference and how they can reduce these different things and how they can go out there and help. And as I say, Ecosia is how many trees have been planted this year, much more positive. Eco-influencers, again, with our teens and young adults, this is a great way, a brilliant way to get them involved. How many teenagers are going to listen to a bald, bearded fella coming up to them saying, "You guys should save the planet. It's a great idea because in future..." Yeah, they're not going to listen to me. I don't know why I became suddenly from Yorkshire then. But they don't listen to me. And why would they listen to me? I'm just an old dude who loves the planet. Now, these eco-influencers, these young people, these people their age are out there making a difference. And they'll also see that they have 14 million followers. That is a huge influence to these students. Now, I've picked out another 4 who also have, between 20 and 150,000 followers. Students will get super motivated by this. And one of the challenges I love to do in my class is see if you can get one of your stories shared by an eco-influencer. And I get students to look for these influencers because it can help them find a passion. So Kids Against Plastic, for example, are an incredibly passionate charity in the UK. Two sisters who are 16 and 18 years old. And watching these young ladies speak is so inspirational, and seeing the act that they're doing, and they're out there inspiring and empowering young people to go out there and make a difference. They have a club of 180 young people out there making a difference with plastic. They're out there, they're collecting rubbish, they're making a difference, and they're educating our youth. My daughter's a member of that incredible club. Do check out Kids Against Plastic. My daughter's a member of their amazing club. And just to see the change in her when she sits there and listens to these young people talking, they're much more likely to listen to somebody their own age, to follow that example, to go out there and try and make a difference. Get your students to find an influencer. That way they can find their passion and bring it into the classroom. Let them share their ideas with the class. Let them show their classmates all about them. Using the socials is the key to motivation for our teen students, 100%, 100%. Okay, Planet News. It doesn't have to all be negative. Good things are happening. You can see here the Daily Climate has some great news that's happening. They are amazing, Tiffany. I've just seen that. Fantastic. They really are. And they can go out there. They can share these ideas. They can talk about the good things that are happening. I'll go back to Clover Hogan. There is a lot of eco-anxiety. I'm not sure that eco-anxiety is the worst thing in the world when we turn it into agency, when we turn it into something like, yes, we need to make a difference with this. We need to look at these excellent things that are happening in the world and go out there and share these within our communities. We need to be in our community to make a difference, because the biggest difference we can make is within our community. We cannot all be Greta. I mean, I am on day 316 of trying to get an interview with Greta over on Twitter. If you do fancy joining in, please do. But we can't all be Greta. What we can do is influence as many people as possible to try and make a change. And as teachers, we are amplifiers. Let's say in our class, we've got 20 students, okay? Maybe only 5 of those are going to be interested in the planet. But then those 5 people are going to go home to their parents and tell their parents. And those parents will tell their friends. And maybe they'll get together as a group. 2 weekends ago, everybody in the village, we had about 50 of us, went out on a big litter pick, and we cleared up about 4,000 pieces of litter between us. It was so good to get the whole community together and go out there and make a difference. So sharing this Planet News and getting our students to talk about it is super important. There was the poll again, just in case you were curious. There are some more places for Planet News. They're on websites all over the world. Not normally as positive when it's on the regular news. Now, 5-minute focus. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes. It can be 2 minutes. This is something that is so important. Sean, don't worry about it. I love seeing that poll. It's my favorite poll of the day, except for the Insta polls, everybody. Don't forget to get over there and vote on the Insta polls on my stories. The 5-minute focus is wonderful. Whatever you are doing, whatever you are talking about, get your students to use it. 21st century skills, critical thinking. Get your students at the end of the class, for 5 minutes perhaps at the end of the class, get them to stop and get them to think, how does this topic hurt the planet? How does this topic have an impact on the environment? So what we've got here, how do you choose your food? How does it have an impact on the environment? What I love in this book here in Q Skills, the image of the food there's no plastic to be seen. We can see lovely fresh fruit, encouraging our students to make that choice. Not the typical plastic that we get usually in the supermarket. If you can hear my dog barking, I apologize. And get our students to focus on what they do with their food. The way we eat is the biggest way we can make a difference on our own carbon footprint. Now, I'm not telling everyone in here to go vegan. Everyone go vegan. I'm not telling you all to go vegan. You could go vegan. But what I am saying is think about reducing your intake of meat. Think about the meat that you eat. You know, eat way less beef. It has a huge impact. If you have animals, can you get them insect protein? Or maybe instead of buying the beef products, go with the chicken products. The ways of reducing your carbon paw print, I guess. Did I just invent that? I might have just invented that. If you can go vegan, it's great. But yeah, do let your students decide. One amazing thing I do with food is a challenge. I say, make the most colorful dinner. I'll talk more about that in the final part of the talk. So this 5-minute focus, you look at whatever unit you're at in the book and how does it have an impact on the planet. So food, it's obvious. But let's say the first unit in the book is the home. How can you make the home be a focus on the planet? What can we do there? What can we get our students to think about? Like, at first, they'll just say recycling. Recycling is the auto first answer. Yes, we can get students sharing recipes for leftovers in food. Absolutely, that is brilliant. And again, that is in the home. So that works really, really well. And when you're looking at the home, yes, we can recycle. But I like to use the analogy of recycling as it's a good thing to do, but it's literally the minimum. So what I say is, if you say, I love the planet because I recycle, it's a bit like saying, I'm on a diet because I have Diet Pepsi with my Big Mac. Okay, you are doing something, but not really enough. Recycling is a great starting point. Litter picking is a great starting point, but we can look at energy consumption, switching to solar panels. I've just pointed to my roof. You can't see my roof. Why am I doing that? Exactly, solar energy. We can look at the way we insulate our houses. We can look at the different things that we buy. If we're doing shopping and fashion, there's an obvious link to the planet. There's an obvious link to climate. Find the links in everything we do. If we're looking at sport, the automatic thought is sport that has no effect on the planet. There's just 11 overpaid men children playing against each other at football. That doesn't have an effect on the planet. Well, it does. Think about the way they travel. Manchester United travelled to Leicester recently by plane. What kind of an example is that? Upcycle. Yes. Love that idea. I love upcycling. I wish I was upstairs. I could show you some upcycling that I had done. Show the students, get them to think about all of the areas. Let's say you're on a Champions League semi-final and you go away to another country and you have to stay in a hotel, and in that hotel they have a buffet breakfast. Think about the food that could be wasted at the buffet breakfast. Everything there, everything can link. Reduce, reuse, recycle, refuse, repair, everything. Get students to link that in together with whatever you're looking at in the book for 5 minutes. We don't have time, no, but for 5 minutes. And there are some brilliant suggestions there in the chat box. So thank you all so much. I'm not sharing them all because I don't want to run out of time. Here we go. We can talk about these different areas. What impact would snowboarding have on the planet? Cave diving. We can look at the effect that the Earth has had on the ocean. By 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. That every minute there's a truckload of plastic going into the ocean, and there are so many people dedicated to taking it out. And we can link all of these different areas. So if we look at, they found microplastics at the top of Everest. How did they get there? They also found microplastics in 2014 at the bottom of the Mariana Trench in an animal they had newly discovered. I learned that from Kids Against Plastic. You see, listening to your students, well, they're not my students, but listening to the youth will really help you learn all sorts of new things. So connecting everything you're doing to the environment, but just putting it in there at the end of class and knocking away, it will increase the interest. That way students can then come into class and maybe they can be the inspiration, they can be the ideas behind it. And decorations, promise walls. This is even great. You can have it up on the wall. If you're at school, have it in the hallway and put your promises up there. Maybe you can do water promises, litter promises, food promises, clothes promises. You can use this Padlet if you want. Feel free to jump on there, put your own promises up there. Use it with your classes. I absolutely don't mind. It is free for you. Go in there, go ahead, use it. Get your students to make those promises. Not empty promises, though. Show them that their promises make a difference and that the promises that politicians are making, perhaps they don't make a biggest difference. But if the youth are making these differences, making these changes, making these demands, if we have them up there as well, they can see them every day. This works brilliantly. Yes, Monica, you've got a green corner. I love a green corner. Absolutely love it. Feel free to send me anything. I'll put it on Renewable English in the Students' Corner. That would be great. Next up, so have a promise wall. Get students to make posters and put it up on the wall. Get them to think about it. Get them to bring the ideas. Give them the link to the Padlet. Get them filling these things up there. Look back to the wall and say, how are we doing with that? You know, how are things going with that? I think Sean's put the link in the chat there, Tina, so it's okay. How are we going with these ideas? Have you succeeded with this? Pick up 3 pieces of litter a day. You know, it's not a difficult challenge. It's easy to find them. Write the pledges down, absolutely. 3 pieces of litter a day. That will stop those kids, those students, those adults. It will stop them littering as well. Point out when people drop litter. I'm often one to allow people to see the error of their ways if they drop litter in the street. It's not about telling them, hey, you dropped litter, that's a bad thing. You know, it's about saying, hey, I think you've dropped something there. I saw someone drop their mask the other day. I drew it to their attention. As I've got in there, you can see taking steps to going vegan. You know, you don't have to go vegan. Ekam, you've said it perfectly. Only buy what you need. And don't be ashamed if you make a mistake. It's not a New Year's resolution. You haven't failed, but you can learn from that. I'll be honest. I look like a real fool when I leave the supermarket because I don't ever take bags. But what I have done in my local supermarket, I've spoken to them and I've asked them just to make this very small difference, this very small change, not to ask people if they want a bag, but to get people to ask them if they want to have a bag. So they go into my local supermarket now, and the people who work there don't say, do you want a bag? They wait for people to ask. And it's those small changes that you can make in your community. Just suggest to the people there. Get the people to connect with it. And here again, a classroom decoration I mentioned earlier. The difference in temperature, the difference in CO2, put it up there on the wall. Have it as a visual. You can have it as your class routine, obviously, but just look there at the difference. This is from February the 7th. Obviously, year on year, the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere is increasing. We can make a difference to that. Obviously, industry needs to make a difference as well. Posters and videos, absolutely, Safar. TikTok, get them on TikTok, get them posting their ideas and sharing them. They absolutely love it. You can also see there the average temperature in March and how it has increased over the last 100 years. It's gone up about 4 degrees, which is pretty terrifying if you ask me. Something that and it's good to have up there. It does need to be. There is a big focus on CO2, and there is often the main focus, and we're blinded by net zero. We do need to look about biodiversity loss. but we can't do absolutely everything all the time. It is a wonderful visual there. It is useful to show them that kind of thing. So, allowing your students to flourish. Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. It really is. Give your students these tools. Give them the power. Hand it over to them. Get them involved on the 25th of March for the Fridays for Future, which is incidentally the day after my birthday. I will be turning 38. 38, Harry, you don't look a day over 36 and a half. Thanks very much. Get them involved with these things. Get your students, give them agency. Encourage them, help them with these ideas. Get them out there to make a difference and allowing them to flourish, giving them the platform. Let them come into the classroom. Let them share their ideas with the class. Let them talk to other people. Share their ideas online. Be the microphone. Be the amplifier of their. Let them share their ideas through you. You can be their guide, but they can really drive us forward and watch how they grow. I find it amazing watching these young people online making these differences. Again, I'm going back to Kids Against Plastic, but do check out the TEDx talk in Geneva that Amy Meek did. Was absolutely inspiring to see an 18-year-old stand up there for 15 minutes with no script in front of them and deliver this TEDx talk is absolutely inspirational. And to be able to see your students doing that. And I feel fantastic when I see my students now in the village walking to school, picking up litter. You know, I've facilitated that. I've given them the idea, but they've taken that on now and they do the school run litter pick every day. So I'm gonna draw to a close now because I fear that there won't be enough time to take any questions now. The TEDx talk, I don't have a link for it because I didn't think I was going to mention it until I got here. Just search Amy Meek TEDx Geneva. You will be able to find it there. So hopefully there are some questions. If not, don't worry. I can talk some more about it. But the last 15 minutes here are for questions. So, Sean, are there any questions?
There are quite a few. If you click on the Q&A tab, you should be able to see them. The room is as you say, got a couple of glitches. So if you are having trouble, I can help you with those. There are a lot. You might need to scroll down. So the first one you should be able to see is Mohammed's. And then there are several in the Q&A box. If you need my help, just say. Okay. How to make it fun and interesting, also challenging. Can you give some examples? Absolutely, Mohammed. So make some fun projects so they can take them home and do those ideas. To make it fun, what I like to do when I'm doing food, I always do a most colourful food challenge. That way they go home, they look at what they've got, they go to the supermarket maybe, or they go to the local greengrocer, they find the freshest food possible, they find the most colourful food possible, and that way they go home, they then make it. This can be turned into a TikTok video of them creating. Should we turn off the slides so we can go full screen? It's up to you. I don't mind. I don't know if everybody wants to see this face full screen. It's probably not the best idea in the world. Oh, that's better. I'm in the corner. Just leave me up there. So getting them to do this food challenge, it gets them to think about where the food came from, but they can also make a how-to video, how to make it. They can then share it online, see who gets the most likes if you want. You can also talk about it in class. So there's some brilliant ideas just for food. Other project ideas you can do and other simple ideas to keep it fun and challenging is to get your students to make, for example, a poster about a sustainable development goal or climate action and get them to then come in and present it. So hopefully there's some fun ideas for you. And yet trying to link it to social media with teens and young adults especially is really, really, really important.
Let me see if I can find some more questions. Someone said, what's my username for Instagram? It's @RenewableEnglish. It's in the chat box. I think it's pinned at the top. Making it relevant is a great idea. Where's that one gone? Making it relevant is a great idea, but we also need to find a way and make it seemingly far away issue less relevant. Good. Overusage of plastic or... look at that. It's up there on the screen. Whoever did that, you're brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so for me, single-use plastic and overuse of plastic, it isn't only an issue for the sea. It isn't only an issue for the ocean. I like to talk about the life cycle of a plastic bottle, and you show where it comes from and the fact that we need to use oil to create it. And we know that fossil fuels, bad idea. And then we can show them the streets. It's not only waterways that are filled with plastic. They are, even if we're inland as well. So rivers and lakes are also filled with it. But the streets are also filled with it. And nature is affected by it. We can also show them that 5% of oil in the USA is used on creating this plastic. But then where does the plastic go afterwards? Well, 450 years later, it might have disappeared. It may not. We don't really know yet. It also breaks down into microplastics, which are released. Which are released, of course, when we wash our clothes as well. So it's not necessarily all about the ocean. Yes, it will get to the ocean, but it is also affecting land animals as well. It's also affecting the environment because we are, for example, a bottle of water. If you're using a bottle of water to create that bottle, it uses 3 times as much water to make it anyway. So the life cycle of a bottle is a really good way to get your students talking about it. And that way, a great thing you can do is highlight your students' good sustainable behaviors in classes. Everyone always says, normalize using a reusable plastic bottle. Don't normalize it, celebrate it. You know, if a student comes into class with a reusable bottle, you can say, you have just saved 300 plastic bottles a year. Well done. Celebrate that. If a student comes in and they've got a beeswax bag that they've put their sandwich in, applaud them. That's good. Well done. You know, make sure these things are celebrated and people are feeling good about doing good things. Make sure they still know they can do more, but increase those. Good question, Seha. I hope that's answered your question. Sorry, I lost my cursor onto the other screen. Seha has said, what do you mean by green skills? Being able to reduce waste, recycling, things like that. Green skills are that, but they're also skills for future employment. So adaptability to new green innovations, being able to think about sustainable options. So I imagine that currently and in future, people are going to be asked, whatever job they're going to, how can we take this company forward in a more sustainable manner, in a more sustainable fashion? This is one of the key sections I actually talk about in my Creating a Greener Mindset course that I run with Renewable English. And it's all about how to prepare our students for the green workplace, to become greener in the workplace. And it's not just about people who work in solar power. It's about every single job and looking at how every job is going to need those green skills. Teachers, we need green skills now. We need to be able to facilitate critical thinking in our students about these environmental issues. In Spain, there's been a change in the law about education. It's called LOMLOE, and we have to teach sustainability in the classroom. So these green skills are vital to teachers as well. Here we go. Young influencers are appealing. Do we have to fill out evaluation form to get a certificate? I don't think so. I can't help you that. Is it necessary to skip school to become influencer? It is not necessary to skip school. I'm not going to tell you you have to encourage your students to go to the Fridays for the Futures marches or to strike on Fridays. That is down to your students if they decide to do that. Okay. Obviously, you would need parent consent and stuff like that. Absolutely is not vital. If students want to go to school still, I encourage students to go to school. I think school's brilliant as a teacher. They don't have to be an influencer. What they have to do is have a voice and use their voice. But not everybody wants to be shouting out there. Not everybody wants to be Greta. Not everybody wants to have hundreds and hundreds of followers. Some people want to just make a difference. And in following these people, they can find their niche. There's a young lad called Ardash Habati, and he has invented a smart sprinkler system. So you might have innovators in your class that their skills, that they're future engineers who are out there, and they're going to make changes. They're going to create this green technology that we keep hearing our politicians talking about to make a difference. You can help these people find that passion within the green sphere. It doesn't have to be, creating the newest iPhone. They can create something that can make a difference. How can going vegan save the world? Going vegan can reduce your carbon footprint dramatically. The amount of greenhouse gases that are emitted by agriculture are phenomenal, second only to the energy sector. So, cutting out fossil fuels, number one, which seems to be getting easier with the price that energy is at the moment. I find it very easy to not use energy. But yeah, not eating meat and reducing the consumption of meat means that hopefully they will reduce the amount of meat being produced, but also the crops that we need to grow. We grow enough crops to feed 80 billion animals a year-ish, yet there are still, people going hungry every day. So reducing this macro agriculture would make a huge difference on the amount of methane that's reduced into the atmosphere, on the amount of water that is wasted, and the amount of deforestation that's happening. So that's one way it can help make a difference. I'm a teacher, English teacher in a regular school here in Brazil. Oi. Sorry, just using my português. Eu não falo português. Sorry, I'm trying to learn, but I'm not doing very well. We have less time to teach in English classes, almost an hour or two during the week. How can we use the 5-minute focus in so short time to use their own material? As I say, maybe not even a 5-minute focus. You could say 2-minute tweet. I just invented that. And you can get your students to spend 2 minutes on writing a tweet about how the class, the focus of the class, so let's say it's about sport, they have to write a tweet about how it affects the environment. Bam, 2 minutes, 240 characters max. They have to write a tweet about how it connects to the class. I know that in school, time is of the essence. So it could be a simple warmer in the class. It could be a cooler before you leave. You could even say to them, okay, guys, before you leave, before you go to playtime, before you go to your next classroom, I want everyone to say one way in which today's topic can affect the environment and what we can do to make a difference. So I'm trying to think of a topic off the top of my head that we always have in class. How does health and beauty affect the planet? Okay, Juan, what do you think? Well, we use lots of plastic bottles for our makeup. Brilliant, off you go. We wash chemicals down the drain when we have a shower. Excellent, next. And we can connect it in that way. And it doesn't have to be 5 whole minutes, but it's just focusing and critical thinking about what we've done in the classroom. What do vegan products? Vegan products are things that don't use animals, that aren't related to animals. So that's one of the things there. I think I've got about a minute left, so let's see. We do online classes on Zoom. Sometimes our time will be used for connection problems. How do we get their attention even less than 5 minutes? Oh, well, I do actually have another talk called Zooming Around, which is all about keeping your students interested in a Zoom lesson. It's not available on ELTOC, but do get in touch. Making these things interesting and relevant to them, having your climate promise wall is a great idea to keep them connected. So yeah, I think that's about it. do remember, I'm going to chuck the link one more time in the chat. I would like to see how the vote is going. I will share on Instagram the vote from today, what we say at the end of class. Thank everybody so much for listening. It's been wonderful. If there are any missed, please do get in touch with me, Harry at Renewable English. I'm happy to respond to any questions or emails there. Yeah, I think that's all, Sean, and over to you.